What's up, everyone? Welcome back to King Anime Review, and for this video, I'll be reviewing episode 282 of Boruto Naruto Next Generations, titled Sasuke's Story, Infiltration. Now, this is the first episode of the Sasuke Retsuden adaptation arc into the anime. This arc was originally first a novel, and then it got adapted into a manga. I'm currently up to date with the manga, and I haven't read the novel. However, I have heard some things about the novel. So, overall, I was really looking forward to this anime adaptation, and I was hoping that they was going to adapt this arc into the anime before it even got announced. So I'm happy that we're getting this adaptation. There were some things that I didn't like about this episode, but overall, it was pretty good. So the episode started off with basically Sasuke. He was basically thinking that he was near the land of Radaku because it was some ladies talking about, you know, how they got it was somebody talking about their new ring or whatever, their wedding ring, and he knew that that was a custom of the land of Radaku for spouses to exchange rings when they, you know, when they get basically when they get married. So yeah, he was thinking that he must be near Radaku, and that is kind of strange given the fact that, from what I heard, Radaku is supposed to be on a different continent, and Sasuke is looking for Code. Obviously, Code is Code is, you know, the Korra and stuff. They were located on the same continent. The hidden, you know, the five great ninja nations, that same continent that's on. So that is kind of strange, but they didn't really say in the anime that, you know, the land of Radaku was on a different continent. So anyways, then Sasuke was, so after he heard about that ring, he started, you know, that's when the flashback started. So this arc is a flashback arc in the anime. I was hoping that they were just gonna, you know, make this arc, you know, fit in the current timeline in the anime and make some changes, but that ended up not being the case. Now, since that's not the case, they have no excuse, in my opinion, to cut anything out or change anything. Now, if they were gonna adjust this arc to fit it to the current timeline, they could make some changes to it to make it fit to the current timeline. I thought that could have been better depending on how it was executed. I already talked about this in previous videos, but yeah, since they are making this a flashback arc, they have no excuse to cut things out. Now, I think, like I said in one of my previous videos, it was my Naruto news video, I said that I think this arc is going to be, you know, basically, you know, I think the basis for this arc is going to be the novel rather than the manga of Sasuke Retsuden. And I think that is the case because they cut out some of that stuff that happened in chapter 1 of the manga, like when Sasuke was talking to Lila and before he went to Tator or whatever. I forgot the name of that prison. But anyways, yeah, so they cut out some of that stuff. I mean, they cut out all of that stuff when he was talking to Lila and when he met Lila and stuff. And I thought that stuff was pretty cool. He did use his Rinnegan in that, you know, scene to switch places with, you know, somebody who was a robber. So, and I think that's the only time, well, as far as the manga go, that's the only time he's used the Rinnegan in the Sasuke Retsuden manga. And a lot of people are excited to see Sasuke with his Rinnegan again, but if he's not going to use it, then, like, it's kind of like, I mean, it's really irrelevant that he has his Rinnegan back if he's not going to use it. Now, granted, he doesn't need to use his Rinnegan on fodder anyways. That's basically short for, super weak characters. He doesn't need to use his Rinnegan on super weak civilians anyways, or criminals, super weak criminals. I mean, he doesn't really need to use his Rinnegan on anybody in the series besides super high tier characters like Azusuki. So, you know, granted, it does make sense that he's not using his Rinnegan. I mean, that he doesn't use his Rinnegan against, you know, those weaker characters. However, the Rinnegan does come with a lot of versatile hacks that he could even use on that dinosaur that he fought in the episode, Minnow. Like, because he could have literally just froze Minnow instead of, you know, fighting him. I mean, he kind of had like a brief little fight with Minnow after he realized he couldn't use Genjutsu on him. But instead of doing that, he could have literally froze Minnow and then tried to put him under Genjutsu, and the Genjutsu wouldn't have worked anyways. But he could have froze Minnow, and obviously he wasn't trying to damage or leave scenes that leave, you know, evidence of a fight when he's fighting Minnow, even though he unfortunately did. That's why he thought he messed up. But yeah, he could have literally froze Minnow, and because in case you guys don't know, Rinnegan users can actually freeze people in midair and freeze people in space. That's literally what Sasuke, that's what happened with Sasuke when Madara stabbed him with his sword. Madara froze Sasuke, and basically he froze Sasuke in midair, which was, that's something that Rinnegan users can do because they can control attractive and repulsive forces. Basically, they kind of got like gravity control, basically. But yeah, that's the case with that. So yeah, getting back to the start of the episode. So it started off with, you know, Sasuke, I already told you how the flashback happened. He he realized that he must be near the land of Radaku because the custom of exchanging rings was basically mentioned. And yeah, so then we had the flashback. We went into the flashback, and he was basically thinking to himself that back then Naruto was sick, and he said this was a couple years ago. Now, the Boruto anime specifically has a this. I don't think this ever happened in Naruto Shippuden or Naruto Part One, as far as them messing up the timeline as much as they do in the Boruto anime. This is kind of like one of my biggest problems with the Boruto anime, and it seemed like they do be messing up the timeline in certain instances. Like even back in the tuning exams, they kept on saying it's been 10 years since the fourth Great Ninja War. Now that could just be a translation, error going from Japanese to English. Maybe in Japan they were saying, oh, it was over a decade. In the Japanese, they might have been saying, oh, it was over a decade. But when it got translated into English dub, they kept on saying like 10 years, which is really weird because if they're saying exactly 10 years, that doesn't make sense at all because Boruto was 12 at the time. And obviously he wasn't 2 years old when the fourth Great Ninja War started. He wasn't even born. So it's really a 15-year gap between the fourth Great Ninja War and Boruto's first tuning exams. So that, and then also I think I'm noticing a similar problem in the time travel arc, but I might have to revisit that to make sure if they're getting a timeline wrong. But anyways, I digress. Point is, it's kind of weird that they said this take place in a couple years in the past because I'm pretty sure this was supposed to take place. I'm pretty sure this wasn't supposed to be taking place during in between Naruto, Shippuden, and Boruto. In other words, I don't think this took place before Boruto got into the academy originally, as far as the manga and the anime go. I mean, as far as the manga and the novel go, I'm pretty sure this took place I believe it was before the Kawaki arc that this stuff took place, like before the Vessel arc. But anyway, so we go into the flashback. It basically starts off with Shikamaru and Naruto basically telling Sasuke that Kakashi went to the land of Radaku because basically they found some scrolls in the land of fire, basically saying that that's where the Sage of Six Paths got healed from this illness that he got, which Kurama said that he has the same illness that basically Hagoromo and the Sage of Six Paths have. And so Kakashi went to the land of Radaku. Basically, Shikamaru was explaining that to Sasuke. And then Sasuke decided to go, even though Naruto tried to stop him. Sasuke decided to go anyways. And so he went there. He went to prison. Immediately, they cut out all of that stuff from the manga with Sasuke meeting Lila and stuff. And from what I heard, that stuff was only in the manga. So maybe I was right when I said that this arc is going to be, the basis for this arc is going to be the novel instead of the manga. So then Sasuke, when he was in prison, he basically got introduced to his new cellmates, and then some prisoner tried to pick a fight with him. He ended up beating all of them up, and then he met Zanzo, and then somebody tried to escape the prison. He got eaten by a dinosaur, got killed by a dinosaur, and then later on Sasuke, he basically decided to play dice with his new cellmates because they asked him to play dice. But basically, like, if he won, they would do a favor for him, which is basically covering for him when he, left the cell. And when he left the cell, he was trying to, search for information about, obviously he's trying to search for information about the Sage of the Six Paths illness, because basically the place that he's at is I think it's called an astronomical institute or something like that. But basically it's the same place that Hagoromo got healed from his illness, apparently got healed in that same place. So Sasuke wants to find, something to give him some hints as to, or something that he can use to get more information about Naruto's illness. So anyways, when he was walking around trying to gather more information, and remember, he's investigating, because I've seen some people online kind of criticizing him fighting a dinosaur, and somebody even said, oh, why didn't he use Susanoo? Like, he's basically on an undercover mission. He's not really trying to reveal the fact that he's, that he's trying to, search for something. He's not really trying to blow his cover, essentially. So he's not really trying to necessarily reveal that he's a ninja and all that, which is why he's using these minor, subtle, weaker ninjutsu and stuff. Well, that's not the main reason. I mean, well, I guess that is one of the reasons, but he was using different, because obviously he could, if he wanted to, he could kill everybody in that prison and but he's obviously he actually has morals, and he's against killing people, as we've seen in the Chio arc of the Sasuke Shiden and stuff in Shippuden. But yeah, and on top of that, he's trying to, like, it doesn't make sense for him to, be really trying to do that much damage to people when he's trying to gather information, because they can't actually be useful for his mission. But anyways, when he's fighting Minnow, I think, like, since he has his Rinnegan, he could have, like I said earlier on, he could have stopped Minnow with his Rinnegan, just froze him in place, instead of leaving, scenes of, leaving evidence behind for a fight, which he was thinking that he didn't want to do that, and he accidentally ended up doing that, which is why he thought he was messing up. But yeah, he ended up beating up Minnow pretty badly, but then the next day he seen that Minnow was okay, so he was wondering, like, is this a different dinosaur, or did he just heal or something? And he was actually wondering if this was a summoning jutsu, and he was thinking, if it's a summoning jutsu, Minnow, if Zanzo was able to summon Minnow and keep him around basically permanently, he must have a massive amount of chakra. So that's what Sasuke was thinking. Now, one of my major problems, like I said, I did have some problems with this episode. One of my major problems is them cutting out a lot of Sasuke's internal monologue, which is absolutely stupid. That's very, very stupid. Now, that's my biggest problem with this episode. And some of the internal monologue that they cut out some internal monologue when Sasuke was gambling, before he started gambling. Like when he picked up that pebble off the ground and he turned it into a diamond. In the manga, and I believe in the novel as well, he said, like, he was thinking Earth style, and then he gave the name of the jutsu. I forgot the exact name of the jutsu, but he basically revealed that it was an Earth style jutsu that he was doing, which is cool because Sasuke hasn't really used many different changes in chakra natures in the Boruto anime. We know he has the ability to use all of the changes in chakra nature because he has the Rinnegan, and that's one of the abilities of the Rinnegan. He can use all of the 5 different changes in chakra nature, and I believe he can use shadow and light style change in chakra nature as well. But yeah, so he can use earth style, he can use water style, he can use wind style, even though he doesn't use those, and he's never really used those in the anime. And I don't think he's used those in the Boruto manga either. But he has used those in the Sasuke Retsuden novel. I believe this is probably even the first time we've seen him, or is the first time it's been shown that he's using these other different nature releases, which is cool. So the fact that they cut out the internal monologue of him giving the name of the jutsu is kind of disappointing, because, for the anime only, they might not even realize that he's using Earth style. I mean, some people, I don't know, because I guess some people were saying that they thought it was a genjutsu that he was using on them or something. It wasn't a genjutsu. Obviously, it was a Earth style. But anyways, that's minor. That's not a big problem, but it is a big problem in terms of them cutting out Sasuke internal monologue that happens later on when he's talking to Zanzu. Now, and we know he's at the start of this episode, he was using a lot of internal monologue, because he was thinking back, oh yeah, Naruto used to be sick back then, and I must be around the land of Radaku. So obviously he can't. They had him use internal monologue earlier on in the episodes, and granted, those were probably more important pieces of internal monologue. But they cut out a very important piece of internal monologue. Now, I'm not going to complain about it too much, because they could basically reveal this in the next episode or in upcoming episodes. But when Zanzo looked at Sasuke, because after Sasuke was looking at Minnow, and then Zanzo came up and started talking to him, Sasuke tried to put Zanzo in the genjutsu as well. And then Zanzo just said, oh, so you realize. And then he looked at Sasuke up close, and you could see his eyes. Now, Sasuke in the manga, he was thinking to himself that, oh, this guy got glass eyes. Whereas in the anime, he doesn't think that to himself. So you basically have to, if you're anime only, you got to figure out yourself. Now, some people might even think that this Zanzu guy has a dojutsu, which is the reason why this is important. The internal monologue is, it basically reveals why Sasuke's genjutsu is not working on Zanzu, and that's very important, because otherwise, like, if you don't have that context, then you could just think that Sasuke's Sharingan, his genjutsu is nerfed in a illogical way, because there should be absolutely no dojutsu in the series that can counter Sharingan / basically Uchiha dojutsu genjutsu. That doesn't make any sense at all. So it's obviously not a dojutsu, but the anime onlys, the people who just watch the anime, they probably don't know it's not a dojutsu. Some people might be thinking, oh, it might be like one of those something to do with scientific ninja tools, or it might be a dojutsu. No, the only reason why Sasuke's genjutsu is not working on Zanzu is because because Zanzu has glass eyes, which makes sense because that's a logical, that's obviously a logical counter to Genjutsu, visual Genjutsu, because the Genjutsu would just be reflected. It's not gonna pierce into his, brain. It's just gonna go, it's gonna be reflected because his eyes are glass. So it's obviously not a dojutsu. Well, it's not. I know that mainly because I read the manga, but I don't know how anime onlys are gonna interpret this. They might just think Sasuke is nerfed. Now, yeah, that's sketch with that. Now, yeah. So and then, oh, also I forgot to mention they did add a little bit of Kakashi Retsuden stuff into this episode, which is cool because I hope that they do adapt not just the Sasuke Retsuden. I mean, well, basically they're doing kind of like they're doing, it seems like they're doing Sasuke Retsuden and Kakashi Retsuden, like they're mixing them together and shortening them. That's what it seems like they're doing, and it seems like they're kind of rushing through things. But as long as they do things in a way that makes sense and they give you the core story in a way that makes sense, it doesn't matter if they, I mean, well, I don't want them to cut really anything, but if they cut a little bit of unnecessary stuff here and there, I'm okay with that. Well, I'm not necessarily okay with it, but it's not that big of a deal. I would prefer them to put everything from the manga and the novel in, or mainly focus. I personally would go with the manga because the Sasuke Retsuden manga has been going great, pretty great so far. But yeah, I would have liked for them to add the Lila stuff and other stuff in there. But if they're cutting out, it's not that big of a deal. But them adding in the Kakashi Retsuden stuff is actually a good thing because that might mean that they might actually adapt some of the Naruto Retsuden novel. And I believe from what I heard, as I've already told you guys, I've only read the Sasuke Retsuden manga, not the novel. So I have heard that in the Naruto Retsuden manga, Sasuke and Sakura actually do kiss. So if they are adapting the Kakashi Retsuden novel, or at least some stuff from the Kakashi Retsuden novel, and mixing it in with the Sasuke Retsuden novel stuff, they might actually do the same thing with the Naruto Retsuden novel, which is actually good because then that could adapt that scene from that Sasuke scene of them kissing in the Naruto Retsuden novel. So yeah, I hope they do that. I hope they add in some of the best parts of the Sasuke Retsuden and Naruto Retsuden, Kakashi Retsuden, and Sasuke Retsuden. I hope they add in some of the best parts. Also, I heard Kakashi apparently fought like 300 ninja or something like that in his novel, so they might actually do that in the anime as well, which will probably be like some Madara versus the Allied Shinobi forces level stuff in terms of like anime. They could do some great things with that. Yeah, they added in a little bit of Kakashi scenes, like Kakashi talking to the prince of, I think it's the prince of Radaku and stuff, and him teaching him how to read and stuff like that. And then him getting some information. He picked up a book relating to the stage of the six paths at the end of the episode. So, and then, yeah, at the end of the episode, and then that was basically the end of the episode. We got a new opening and ending in this episode as well, and then we got the preview. Now, I didn't like something about the preview. One thing I didn't like about the preview is it shows Sasuke summoning, like he basically got a sword, a regular sword, which I don't like at all because I think they're going to change up Sasuke's fight because I think the preview already revealed that he's going to fight Minno again. He's going to have another fight with Minno. And in the manga, he used a ice-style sword. That was so cold. Like I said, one of my favorite things about Sasuke Retsuden, it's a lot of things I like about it, honestly. But one of my favorite things is Sasuke using different changes in chakra nature that we know he can use because he has the Rinnegan, but he's never used them in a Boruto anime or manga, or even in Naruto Shippuden. He's never used these different changes in chakra nature like wind style and water style and earth style. So it's very cool to see him use it in the Sasuke Retsuden manga. However, in the anime, they did show his earth style, although they didn't have his internal monologue. And then when he did the dice, like when he wrote the dice, he did use wind style. That should be obvious, but he didn't, they cut out the internal monologue of him, giving a name for the earth style jutsu. But that's not a big problem. But them cutting out him using a ice style sword is really annoying. That's really annoying, bro. Like, why would you change that? That was cold. That was the first time they did that. He literally created an ice style sword, but they just made him summon a regular sword in the in the preview. So, and I highly doubt that that's going to be changed in the next episode. Sometimes things can be changed from the preview compared to when the episode come out. Sometimes they can make some changes, but I highly doubt they're going to change that. So that's very disappointing. Anyway, so yeah, overall great episode. And as far as the ending go, the ending was great. It was mainly just focused on Kawaki and Boruto. This is the best ending that we've had in a while. Not the best ending ever, because I think the best two endings in Boruto is the one that we got during the Sarda arc, which is that was ending 2, and then ending 5, which is the ending that we got during the tuning exams arc, and it was mainly focused on Boruto and, you know, the Sasuke and Boruto's friends and family and stuff. Mainly focused on Boruto. So those are the best two endings that we've got. Those two endings have amazing songs and great visuals, great animation. Those endings are fantastic. Now, this ending is ending 23 is pretty good as well, but it is the best ending that we've had in a while, because the past like 5 or 6 endings have been these different art style. Really, since Kawaki came into the animes, they've been like each ending they've kind of been switching up the art style, and it doesn't look exactly like the Boruto anime. This ending, it has like the Boruto anime art style, but it's like high tier. So basically like high tier Boruto animation, and it's not a different animation style that they're going with. Like they did one ending where I believe it was the ending where the first ending that Kawaki was in, and Boruto, Mitsuki, and Sarada was like skating or something, or they were riding skateboards. And that ending actually had like a Miles Morales, Spider-Man Miles Morales, or what was it called? Into the Spider-Verse. Yeah, it had like Into the Spider-Verse like animation style. That's what I mean by different animation style. But yeah, this ending, yeah, great animation, great artwork. Looks like the Boruto anime, except better in terms of artwork, just like a higher quality version. And yeah, it was mainly focused on Kawaki and Boruto, showing it was cool seeing Sasuke in there as well, as like Boruto was looking at Sasuke, Kawaki was looking at Naruto. Those are the guys that they look up to pretty much. And you also seen like Ishiki and Momoshiki in the ending. That stuff was cool. The ending was great. I've seen a lot of people that like, basically a lot of people seem to like the ending more than the opening. I personally like the opening a little bit more. And I know that's it seemed like that's an unpopular opinion, but I like the opening a little bit more. Opening 12, I like it. There was one scene in the opening where they basically reused a sequence from a previous opening, which was opening 6. They reused something with the Inochika Cho Team 10. They reused that scene with Shikadai doing Shikadai doing shadow possession, and then, you know, basically Team 10 doing their moves, except they just changed the background to make it fit the current opening. It is kind of weird that they're reusing, you know, animation for an opening, especially. So it's not a big problem. That's really my only like gripe that I have with the opening. Not a big problem. This is the first time that they've ever done that with an opening, and since it's the opening, I would prefer it to have different animation than all the other openings. But since they just did this one time and it was only for like a couple seconds, it's not a big problem. But seeing Ida in the opening was cool. Seeing that little CD effect that they had when they showed Code was cool. And then they showed the CD effect, like they showed it, like basically they made Ida's eye like operate like a CD. She has the Searing Gun, which is a new dojutsu, and it like it kind of like it's cool like how they made that CD effect with her eye. That was a really cool scene when they show Ida and Daemon and Code. Cool. And then the opening, it was mainly just Boruto's generation fighting against Aotsutsuki. Kagi was in there, Ishiki and stuff like that. Well, they were fighting against Aotsutsuki and a remnants of Korra. So mainly they were fighting against like Aotsutsuki puppets and stuff like that. And yeah, it is kind of weird that some of these like Team 40 and Team 25 is in this opening. I don't mind it because I like seeing Boruto's generation all together, and that's cool. But Team 40 and Team 25, these are characters that are very irrelevant. In fact, those characters aren't even in the manga at all. So it's kind of strange that they're in this opening, even though they're most likely not going to even appear in this Code arc. I mean, if the Code arc adds a lot of anime original content, they might appear in the Code arc, but I doubt we're gonna see them appear in the Code arc, and they're not important characters at all. So that's probably one of the reasons why a lot of people didn't like the opening, because it showed a lot of these characters that people consider filler because they're not in the manga. Yeah, so I don't know, that might be one of the reasons people don't like it. Some people just probably don't like the song and the animation. I think the song was decent for the opening and ending, and the animation I think was good for the opening and ending. So anyways, overall, this was a great episode of Naruto Next Generations, a 10 out of 10 episode, 10 out of 10 in terms of artwork, 10 out of 10 in terms of animation, 10 out of 10 in terms of story. This episode was amazing. I'm glad that we're finally getting this Sasuke Retsuden stuff adapted into the anime. And yeah, overall, I can't wait for the next episode. Let me know what you guys think of the episode. Let me know what you thought of the episode in the comment section below. Let me know what you would rate this episode out of 10 in the comment section below, as well as my review. What would you rate it out of 10 in the comment section below? If you guys like the video, please drop a like and share the video. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.
I wanted to. I'll be a hero.